10 legendary motorcycles that turned out to be flops. Motorcycles are built to be fast, stylish, and unforgettable, but not every bike becomes a legend. Some were supposed to be game changers but ended up as massive flops. Whether it was poor design, unreliable engines, or just bad timing, these bikes failed to win riders' hearts. From big-name brands to unexpected disasters, we're counting down 10 legendary motorcycles that turned out to be the worst. So buckle up as we take a ride through motorcycle history's biggest letdowns. Let's get started. Number 10. 2008 Harley-Davidson XR1200. The 2008 Harley-Davidson XR1200 was an impressive attempt by Harley to break into the sport bike market, but it ended up falling flat. The XR1200 fans were looking for a more aggressive, performance-oriented bike, different from the typical cruiser Harley was known for, but it just didn't resonate. First off, the bike was heavy. Weighing in at over 550 pounds, it was far from the agile, lightweight sport bikes it aimed to compete with. Its handling was sluggish, and despite its 1200cc V-twin engine, it struggled to keep up with its competitors in terms of performance. Harley's loyal fans weren't interested in a sport bike, and sport bike enthusiasts didn't find it aggressive enough. It was an awkward blend of Harley's cruiser roots and the sport bike world that neither crowd liked. In the end, Harley-Davidson discontinued the XR1200 in 2012. Number 9. 2005 Ducati Sport Classics. The 2005 Ducati Sport Classics were designed to capture the retro, old-school vibe of Ducati's iconic bikes from the 1970s. Unfortunately, they didn't live up to the hype. While the aesthetics were spot on, sleek lines, classic design, everything else was poor. The engine felt out of place in the retro frame, the handling was stiff, and the ride was uncomfortable, which made it hard to appreciate the bike's beauty for long. Ducati, known for producing top-tier performance motorcycles, tried to blend modern technology with vintage appeal, but the result was a confusing mess. The Sport Classic wasn't quite a collector's piece, nor was it a great everyday rider. Many Sport Classics sat unsold in showrooms, and when they were finally bought, owners often sold them off. Ducati fans wanted more than just looks, and sadly, the Sport Classic didn't deliver. Number 8. 2001 BMW R1200C. The 2001 BMW R1200C was an ambitious project that just didn't hit the mark. BMW, known for its high-performance motorcycles, aimed to capture the attention of Harley-Davidson enthusiasts. The result? A bike that was neither truly a cruiser nor a true BMW. The R1200C's most distinctive feature was its styling, with a bulbous front end and a low-slung, almost comical stance. Unfortunately, it didn't win over many fans. Its underwhelming 1,170cc engine simply didn't deliver the kind of power cruiser riders were expecting, and the handling wasn't as good as the brand's typical bikes. If you could change one thing about this motorcycle, what would it be? Drop your thoughts below. While some did appreciate its charm, the bike was discontinued and now largely forgotten. A flop that failed to capture the hearts of both BMW and cruiser fans. Number 7. 2017 Yamaha SCR 950. The 2017 Yamaha SCR 950 is a great example of a bike that promised a lot, but ultimately fell flat. It was meant to capture the growing retro cool market with its scrambler styling, blending old-school vibes with modern technology. But despite its looks, the SCR 950 didn't hit the mark. The engine was a 942cc air-cooled V-twin, which seemed solid on paper, but lacked the punch to back up its rugged appearance. It wasn't as powerful as its competitors, like the Triumph Street Scrambler or the Ducati Scrambler. The ride felt heavy and the handling was clunky, leaving riders underwhelmed. At around $8,699, it wasn't exactly cheap. And for that price, people expected more performance and polish. Add to that the lack of traction in the market. Many thought it was a bit too niche. SCR 950 looked cool, but it didn't perform or offer the excitement riders were looking for. It was a bike caught in limbo, and that's why it never really took off. Subscribe before your bike spontaneously combusts, like some of these did. Number 6. 1974 Norton Highrider. The 1974 Norton Highrider is often seen as a symbol of everything that went wrong with Norton. It was essentially a factory custom chopper aimed squarely at the American market, but nobody asked for it. Norton took their reliable Commando base model, which had its issues like the isoelastic system and electrical problems, but still worked well. CEO Dennis Poore, after a trip to the US, saw the growing chopper scene and thought it was the key to attracting more sales and coming out of financial strain. The Highrider was born out of desperation. High handlebars, a tiny fuel tank, and an absurd seat were added to create the Highrider. The result? A bike that was disliked by nearly everyone. The Highrider sat unsold in showrooms for years. It showed how badly things were going for Norton. We're only halfway through, and the worst is yet to come. Can you guess which legendary bike flopped the hardest? Stay tuned. Number 5. 2009 Honda DN01. Honda's vision for the DN01 was to create a unique, futuristic motorcycle that would appeal to a wide audience. With its massive 680cc V-twin engine and the radical design, the DN01 seemed like it had potential. However, the bike's futuristic look and odd mix of features didn't sit well with most riders. It featured an automatic transmission, which was a major turnoff for fans who loved the manual experience. The riding position was another problem. It didn't offer the classic cruiser feel many riders craved. To make matters worse, the bike was priced too high for what it offered. Despite Honda's solid reputation, the DN01 was poorly received. It didn't find its place in the market and was quickly discontinued after only a few years. Number 4. 2001 Moto Guzzi V11. The 2001 Moto Guzzi V11 was meant to be a revival for the brand, offering a fresh take on their traditional motorcycle style. But it became the biggest flop in Moto Guzzi's history. The V11 was designed to appeal to modern riders with its sleek design, powerful engine, and updated technology. Unfortunately, it had too many flaws that made it less than the sum of its parts. While the engine was solid, the handling was a mess, especially in tight corners. The V11's braking system was underwhelming, which left riders feeling unsafe. The styling didn't win over many. It looked like a throwback to older models, but lacked the charm that made Moto Guzzi famous. Worst of all, the V11 was overpriced for what it delivered. People expected more refinement and reliability from a brand with such a strong legacy. It struggled in the market, sales were slow, and so it was discontinued. Missing our next video would be a bigger mistake than buying one of these. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Number 3. 2007 Suzuki B-King. Introduced in 2007, it was meant to be a wild, high-performance street fighter that would push boundaries. With a 1,340cc engine borrowed from the Hayabusa, it had the power to make any rider grin. But there was a huge problem: the design. Suzuki's attempt to turn the B-King into a futuristic, edgy bike turned out to be a flop with many riders. The bike's styling was divisive, with some calling it bulky, lacking the elegance of other sport bikes. The massive front end and oversized bodywork made it feel like a concept bike rather than something ready for production. While Suzuki's Hayabusa remained a star in the sport bike world, the B-King just didn't resonate with enough riders. Critics weren't impressed, and sales reflected that. It's a perfect example of a bike that had the right engine but just didn't have the right style or market. Number 2. 2011 Husqvarna Nuda 900. The 2011 Husqvarna Nuda 900 seemed like a promising mix of power and style, but became one of the most disappointing motorcycles in the brand's history. Husqvarna, known for its rugged off-road bikes, decided to venture into the street bike market with the Nuda 900. The idea was solid: a high-performance naked bike with a 900cc engine, designed to compete in a market dominated by street fighters. However, things went wrong almost immediately. First, the bike was overpriced. The Nuda 900 was supposed to be an exciting and aggressive machine, but it failed to impress many riders. The bike's design was unconventional and didn't appeal to the masses, and the lack of a clear identity made it hard to market. Add to that Husqvarna's limited street bike experience, and the Nuda 900's fate was sealed. Sales were slow, and by 2013, Husqvarna had dropped the model. Alright, we're down to the biggest disappointment of them all. Can you guess what it is? Type your guess now before we reveal it. Number 1. 2001 Aprilia RST 1000 Futura. Let's talk about the 2001 Aprilia RST 1000 Futura. Designed as a sport touring bike, it packed a 60-degree V-twin engine and had all the right ingredients on paper. But when it hit the streets, things quickly went south. For starters, the styling was too ahead of its time, leaving many riders scratching their heads. The bike wasn't ugly, but it lacked the charm of its competitors like the Ducati ST4 or the BMW R1100S. The handling? Solid, but nothing groundbreaking. The performance was good, but it wasn't as exciting as it should have been for a bike meant to rival the best in the sport touring category. In the end, the Aprilia RST 1000 Futura wasn't enough to leave a lasting impact. And that's a wrap on 10 legendary motorcycles that turned out to be flops. Some had big dreams, but just couldn't live up to the hype. Others were ahead of their time, or just too flawed to survive. Which of these bikes surprised you the most? Or do you know another legendary flop we missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more awesome motorcycle stories. Hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Ride safe, and see you in the next one.